I'm gonna turn Pokemon into people. I'm Man217 and I love Pokemon, and I wanna see what they look like if they were human. Let's get started. So to start, I'm gonna draw the most memorable, the most iconic Pokemon of them all, Magikarp. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna draw Pikachu. Pikachu is Pokemon's mascot, the most popular Pokemon. Even people that don't know Pokemon know who Pikachu is. So I gotta make sure I can draw this iconic and this recognizable character. I wanna make it that even if you don't know what I'm doing, you still see Pikachu in this character. When I first started doing this video, I had an idea that I wanted her pigtails to be the same as Pikachu's ears. I felt like that mixed and matched perfectly. It definitely speaks Pikachu to me so far. As I mentioned earlier, I loved Pokemon. I remember having Pokemon Yellow where Pikachu followed you around, and I absolutely loved the game. I don't think I ever beat it, but I worked really hard to try to see if I could get my Pikachu to evolve, and I destroyed so many Caterpie. Sorry, Caterpie. I never got my Pikachu to evolve. I don't think that my attention span was good enough to play those games. I did beat Pokemon Snap though for the 64. Shout out to anybody who played that game and beat it. It's my favorite game. One thing I want to point out is that I am making this into an anime, so I'm keeping their anime aesthetic. So that is the style that I am going for. I kind of feel like if they were humans, but they still had this elemental power in their anime, I think that would be a great idea for anime. Maybe they get these talismans or something that give them their powers, and the main characters and the villains are on this quest to find this talisman that gives them control over all the elements. So lightning, water, grass, fairy, steel, ghost, all the types of Pokemon, we can get a talisman to control it. I feel like that would be a great idea for an anime. One thing I want to point out is that her mouth was kind of out of perspective. When she's looking straight forward at you, her mouth shouldn't be kind of sideways. That looks like a mouth for maybe a 3/4 view in an anime style, and I needed to fix that. It looked way off. So keep that in mind when you're drawing. Make sure everything is in perspective. Another thing I want to point out is that I used a lot of yellow because Pikachu is a lot of yellow. I gave her a yellow sweater, kind of like if you took a bunch of Pikachus and you made them into a sweater. Don't do that though. Use fake Pikachu skins, please. I have a hard time using yellow. I don't know why. I don't hate the color. I think yellow is a great color, but I just don't know how to use it. I see other artists use yellow and I'm like, wow, that's a good piece. But every time I use yellow, I end up hating my piece. Is it weird that I can't use yellow? Am I weird? Let me know in the comments down below if I'm weird. Because of my lack of using yellow, not my personality. I'm not weird. And because I really want this idea to be that they still have their powers, I had to give her electricity, but I couldn't make it yellow. Again, there's too much yellow on the screen, so I made it blue electricity. Again, that was way too much yellow, so I did add some black to the sweater, and I gave her these cool sneaker heels with lightning bolts on them. I think it looks awesome. I love that part. I think it makes her look a little bit more cute, and it makes her look a little bit more awesome. Another thing I needed to do is to capture Pikachu a little bit more, so I added that black to the pigtails because Pikachu has these black blobs of color in his ears. When you're doing challenges like this, you gotta make sure you pay attention to the little things and kind of get creative with how you incorporate them into the human form. So I made sure I gave her some earrings, made them a little bit orangey red because Pikachu has those little circles on his cheeks. I have the wind pushing the earrings onto her cheek to give it that kind of red circle look on Pikachu's cheek. I think it makes it look more like Pikachu. If people notice that, it'll really stand out as, oh, this must be Pikachu as a girl. I absolutely love the way she came out.
Who's that Pokémon?
It's Pikachu. Now moving on to the next Pokemon, I had to draw everybody's favorite Pokemon, and for those of you that think that Pikachu is everybody's favorite, you might be right because people that don't know Pokemon would say it's Pikachu, but people that actually watch Pokemon and play the games, a lot of people love Magikarp. No, kidding again. It's Charizard. The reason I picked Charizard is because a lot of the animes I watch have that one character who helps the main character, but who is very angry. So the Vegetas and the Bakugos of the anime world. I needed one, so I picked Charizard. I wanted to make him, you know, really cool and really bad, you know what I mean? If you watched the first few seasons of Pokemon, then you would know Ash's Charizard never listened. He was a very cool Pokemon, but he never listened to Ash, kind of had an attitude, and he just did whatever he wanted to do. And I felt like I needed to capture that by making this character look super cool and super angry. I gave him this spiked hair to mimic Charizard's horns on his head, and I gave him sharp teeth to further that cool bad boy look. My favorite thing I did in this design is the way I designed his boots. Charizard has these big claws on his feet, so I gave him spiked boots, which I think make him look cooler and make him stand out as a main character. I love Charizard. He was not my favorite, but I did love him, and I always wanted to catch a Charmander or train my Charmander to become a Charizard. But again, my attention span, I never got a Charizard. I had to capture his wings somehow, so I gave him his fire. Again, he is an elemental, he controls fire, and I gave him the fire on the side of his body, kind of to mimic Charizard's wings and tail. I think that looks awesome. It makes the silhouette look really, really cool, and it captures that Charizard look. Now, I didn't want to make the same mistake that I did with the Pikachu, which was having all of that yellow, so I changed his pants a little bit to be a more purplish, burgundy looking color. His shirt now was a little orange like Charizard's skin, and the hair same way. But when I'm rendering, I noticed that the shirt is starting to look a little bit too muddy. And that happens when you're using the airbrush a lot. So you gotta be careful with that airbrush. I know I always say don't be afraid of the airbrush. Make sure you have some solid shadows and some soft shadows. But you also got to make sure you blend things in, especially in this case. It looks very muddy, so I have to make sure I go in and I change that, fix that shirt. I do make it a little bit brighter. And here he is, my humanoid Charizard for the anime. I think he looks great. So far, he's my favorite. I like him more than I like the Pikachu girl, but he doesn't look like he would be the main character. Moving on to the next Pokemon, I'm being a little selfish. I'm picking my favorite Pokemon, and that is Magikarp. Okay, I'm kidding. That's the last time, but this one is Greninja. Now, I've had a lot of favorite Pokemon over the years. My favorite Pokemon was Raichu. I waited so long to see Ash's Pikachu evolve, and I'm still waiting. But my favorite Pokemon constantly changes. I also loved Trico, and I did not want my Trico to evolve like Ash didn't want his Pikachu to evolve, so I guess I started to understand. But now I moved on. I guess I'm not loyal. Now my favorite Pokemon is Greninja. I just love the design of Greninja, and I like playing with him in Super Smash Bros., which I'm horrible at, by the way. I think the character designer that made Greninja hit the nail on the head with this one because he looks awesome. He looks like a creature, still looks like a Pokemon, but still really resembles a ninja. My favorite part of this design are the thick thighs and the thin shins. It kind of looks like those baggy pants that ninjas wear that kind of get tucked in on the calves. So I had to add that to my character. One thing about Greninja that I don't really understand is that thing around his neck. Is it his tongue? Is that his tongue? I don't know. I really don't know what that tongue do. But I changed it into a scarf. I'm not really sure what it is. It might be a floaty. I don't know. But I put it as a scarf because ninjas need to cover their face sometimes, and he will cover his face with his scarf. Capturing that weird shaped head of Greninja was hard, so I gave him some spiky hair in a weird pattern, and I think it captured it a little bit. I wanted to make sure I captured that yellow color on Greninja, so I gave him a nice little plate of armor. It's not bright yellow like the Pikachu because I hate using yellow. I had to make it a little bit dull. I wanted to make it look a little bit more metallic, so I had to make sure it looked a little bit more shiny. I added some white streaks to make it look more like metal. This character looks really cool to me. He doesn't look like he would be the main character. He looks like he would be the character that helps the good guy, but is very stoic and quiet. Maybe he started off as a bad guy, but they switched teams. You know, animes do that. I like that idea. I think the bad guy, and let me know in the comments down below if you want me to do another video where I draw different Pokemon as humans, but I think the main bad guy would have to be like a Gengar or something. It's that evil look that Gengar has, or Haunter, and I think it will look really cool as a bad guy. Or maybe just Mewtwo, but I gotta make him look like a human. He already is kind of humanoid. I don't know if that would be a good anime, but it sounds pretty cool. Please don't steal my anime, and if you do, give me some money. Give me $1 or $2. Nah, I want $1 million. But here is my Greninja. I think he looks awesome. And here they are all together. I love the way they came out. If you like Pokemon and if you like art, I do all this kind of weird things all the time. I do art challenges where I draw goofy stuff. You can watch this video right here. I'm sure you would think it's awesome. And you know what? You're awesome. I think. Thanks for watching.